How terrifying has Xiao Yan become now? In just a few short minutes, he completely wiped out a Hall of Souls branch hall. Continuing from the previous chapter, staring at the 10 Buddha's wrath flame lotuses that had been condensed in a single instance, Xiao Yan took several deep breaths. Even he himself had never been able to accomplish such a feat. Although these flame lotuses were formed using only 2 heavenly flames, when thrown out in such overwhelming numbers, their destructive power was undoubtedly terrifying beyond measure. However, what shocked Xiao Yan even more was that, after the 10 Buddha's wrath flame lotuses were formed, the little fellow merely waved its hand. The 10 flame lotuses suddenly collided and rapidly fused together. In only a brief moment, a flame lotus that caused both Xiao Yan and Juna to tremble in shock slowly rose from within the flames. It was none other than Xiao Yan's strongest trump card, the Destruction Flame Lotus. Moreover, its power was several times greater than the Destruction Flame Lotus Xiao Yan himself could unleash. This time, I really struck gold. Okawa Yua. After playing around for a while with the Destruction Flame Lotus spinning beside it, the little fellow opened its mouth and swallowed it whole, then tightly hugged Xiao Yan's palm once more. Seeing this, Juna smiled and said, "The intelligence of this little one doesn't seem low at all. Perhaps we should give it a name. Since it likes making the sound Yiwa Yiwa, let's just call it Little Yi." Xiao Yan spread his hands and said casually. Then he glanced around the space still engulfed in flames and said, "It's time to leave. After we return, I'll find an opportunity to formally propose to the Gu clan. Once my father is rescued, let's hold our wedding, shall we?" Juna was caught completely off guard by his sudden words. Her cheeks flushed red, and her eyes filled with excitement and happiness. For this very day, for this single sentence, she had waited for many, many years. Demonic Flame Plain. 2 years ago, this place had still been a range of rolling mountains. But 2 years later, it had turned into a vast white plain. This was precisely the aftermath of the descent of the purifying demonic lotus flame. Normally, regions ravaged by demonic flame would become utterly desolate. However, when an expeditionary mercenary group discovered here a type of crystal containing fire attribute energy, the entire plain instantly became lively and bustling. These crystals filled with violent fire attribute energy were known as demonic flame stones. To cultivators of fire attribute Dou Qi and alchemists, they were priceless treasures. Thus, this once barren plain had, over the past 2 years, attracted numerous factions competing to divide its territory. Among them, the Tianfu Alliance occupied the region richest in resources, and the presence of the Tianfu Alliance naturally drew the attention of the Hall of Souls. Not long after Tianfu took control of the demonic flame plane, the Hall of Souls also established a branch hall within the area. Over the course of the past year, they had repeatedly clashed, with the Alliance forces stationed here. Clang! 2 heavy swords carrying powerful Dou Qi collided violently. One of the combatants was sent flying backward dozens of steps. "Captain Liu, hand over the demonic flame stones. We've been watching you for more than half a month." A figure stepped through the air and sneered. He wore black robes, and the emblem on his chest clearly marked him as a member of the Hall of Souls. "Kill them all, then hang their heads up and send them to the Tianfu Alliance." Yes, as his command fell, another man immediately responded respectfully, a sinister expression spreading across his face. However, just as he took a step forward, his entire body suddenly froze stiff. He hurriedly turned to seek the elder with the highest status. Yet at the very moment he turned around, he saw the elder's head inexplicably fly into the air, hang their heads, and send them to Tianfu. The Hall of Souls is quite bold these days. Before the man's horrified eyes, the space behind the headless elder slowly rippled. Soon after, a man and a woman gradually appeared. Protector Mo. The sudden change caused everyone present to freeze in place. "Who are you?" "This is Hall of Souls territory." A man of clearly high status stared at the 2 figures in terror, then shouted angrily, attempting to conceal the fear in his heart. "So the Hall of Souls' hands have already reached this far." The figures in the air gradually became clear. They were none other than Xiao Yan and Jun, who had just crossed over from the purifying demonic lotus flame space. Xiao Yan calmly swept his gaze over the black-robed Hall of Souls members, cold light flashing in his eyes. The chill in Xiao Yan's gaze made the man feel cold to the very marrow, as if even the Dou Qi within his body had frozen solid. If the opponent could casually slay Protector Mo, a 5-star Dozong, then dealing with them would be effortless. This is bad. Retreat. The man immediately made his decision and rapidly withdrew. After killing so many people from Tianfu, you think you can just leave that easily? The people of the Tianfu Alliance are not so easy to kill. Xiao Yan looked at the figures fleeing in all directions and lightly stamped his foot. An invisible fluctuation spread out rapidly. As the fluctuation passed through the area, the fleeing figures suddenly froze in place, and immediately afterward, one head after another fell to the ground. Captain Liu and the others felt a chill rise in their hearts. They hadn't even seen clearly how Xiao Yan made his move. Many thanks, Senior, for saving our lives. We are the Zhuan Squad 3rd Brigade of the Tianfu Alliance's Outer Division. This life-saving grace will be remembered forever. Captain Liu respectfully saluted the two figures in the air. Outer Division. Xiao Yan was slightly surprised. It seemed that over the past few years, the Tianfu Alliance had developed far beyond expectations. Tell me what has happened in Central Plains. Since the closure of the demonic flame space back then, Xiao Yan descended and said casually. Captain Liu quickly organized his thoughts and briefly recounted the major events that had occurred in Central Plains over the past 2 years. So much has happened in just 2 years. Xiao Yan murmured softly, his expression solemn. Senior, seeing Xiao Yan lost in thought, Captain Liu glanced around, hesitated briefly, then cautiously said, There's a Hall of Souls branch hall not far from here. Normally when a protector falls, they can sense it, so we should leave as soon as possible. The Hall of Souls branch hall is extremely powerful. Inside, there's a 1-star Dou Sheng expert from the Hun clan. Over the past 2 years, many experts of the Tianfu Alliance have died at his hands. 1 star, Xiao Yan rubbed his chin and nodded. Just as Captain Liu was about to seize the chance to urge the senior to leave, he was stunned by Xiao Yan's next words. You know the way, right? Take me to that branch hall. At once everyone fell silent. Captain Liu's lips trembled. The Hall of Souls branch hall was the place they feared the most. Normally they avoided it at all costs. Who would ever think of walking straight into it? Let's go. Xiao Yan smiled and placed a hand on Captain Liu's shoulder. Before he could react, space rippled, and the 3 figures instantly vanished. This time, we're finished, one of the teammates said with a miserable expression. After barely surviving, they were now walking straight into death. Just as everyone stood in silence, space rippled once more. 3 figures appeared. It was Xiao Yan and the 2 who had left not long ago. Seeing them return, the others were instantly overjoyed. After personally witnessing a legendary Dou Sheng old monster being crushed by a single palm from the young man before them, how could anyone remain calm? Captain, wasn't that old monster inside the branch hall? Hearing the hushed voices around him, Captain Liu finally snapped back to his senses. His voice was hoarse as he shook his head and said, From today onward, there will be no more Hall of Souls branch hall on the demonic flame plane, and there will no longer be that famed Hunqing saint either. The crowd froze for a moment, then suddenly came back to their senses. Shock and disbelief surged into their eyes. In just a few short minutes, a Hall of Souls branch hall had been completely erased from existence.